Four nations just recognized a Palestinian state, and the UN is convening on the eve of Rosh HaShanah, the Jewish New Year, to try and force Israel to create a terrorist state in their backyard. Israel is threatening to respond to this attack with declaring sovereignty in Judea and Samaria. Prophetic things are happening here in the land of Israel. Let's get into it. Over the weekend, the UK, France, Australia, and Portugal have officially recognized a Palestinian state, joining a host of countries who have done so for many years prior. The Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer, said this in his official statement yesterday. In the face of growing horror in the Middle East, we are acting to keep alive the possibility of peace and a two-state solution. He went on to say, so today, to revive the hope of peace and a two-state solution, I state clearly as Prime Minister of this great country that the United Kingdom formally recognizes the state of Palestine. The Canadian Prime Minister said, quote, since 1947, it has been the policy of every Canadian government to support a two-state solution for lasting peace in the Middle East. This envisioned the creation of a sovereign, democratic, and viable state of Palestine, building its future in peace and security alongside the state of Israel. Australia said, independent and sovereign state of Palestine reflects Australia's long-standing commitment to a two-state solution, which has always been the only path to enduring peace and security for the Israeli and Palestinian peoples. 6 more countries are expected to follow suit today. And to top it all off, the United Nations, led by France and Saudi Arabia, will convene today to rally in support of a two-state solution. The quote-unquote leader of the Palestinian people, Mahmoud Abbas, will not attend in person in the New York headquarters, but he will address the assembly via video due to the U.S. State Department blocking his visa to enter the United States because he is a terrorist and, well, the U.S. doesn't want terrorists coming into the country. Yesterday's announcement stressed that Hamas must have no role in the Palestinian state. While that looks and sounds good on paper, this statement is absolutely insane. Saying that your country recognizes a Palestinian state and then saying that Hamas can't have any part in it is like giving your 3-year-old candy and then telling them they're not allowed to even eat any of it. Even if these countries could, by some miracle, keep Hamas from ruling their Palestinian state, the current partners for peace, Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian Authority, are no better than Hamas, except that they sort of pretend to be peaceful. They still have the same goal as Hamas, namely to wipe Israel off the map and create a Palestinian state from the river to the sea. The president of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, has welcomed this recognition by these countries, saying it, quote, would help pave the way for the state of Palestine to live side by side with the state of Israel in security, peace, and good neighborliness, end quote. Don't forget, the PA pretends to be peaceful, as I just said, but obviously doesn't do a great job pretending, as this is the same Mahmoud Abbas who still gives salaries to Palestinian terrorists who murder Jews. Hamas is also welcoming this move, surprise, surprise, with their leaders openly admitting that this recognition is a direct outcome, the fruit of the October 7th massacre. This is straight from the horse's mouth and directly contradicts the UK, France's, and Australia's statement that recognition of a Palestinian state would not reward Hamas. No matter how hard these Western leaders try to lie to themselves that this time it will be different, the Palestinian leaders can't hold in their glee that there are so many useful idiots in charge of nations that are helping them achieve their genocidal goal of destroying the nation of Israel. There are 2 countries that are standing against these absurd recognitions and also boycotting the UN conference. Those 2 countries would be Israel and the US. They are saying that this is not helpful and actually rewarding terrorism. Wow, that's a bright idea there. The US State Department called these recognitions, quote, performative, saying, Our focus remains on serious diplomacy, not performative gestures. Our priorities are clear: the release of the hostages, the security of Israel, and peace and prosperity for the entire region that is only possible free from Hamas. The Israeli Foreign Minister, Gideon Sa'ar, said this: "Most countries in the world have already recognized a Palestinian state in the past. It was wrong in the past too. But those governments that decided to join the recognition precisely now are also doing an immoral, outrageous, and especially ugly action. A prize for Hamas and a reward for terrorism, as well as an unjustified reward for the Palestinian Authority." Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, "There will be no Palestinian state. The response to the latest attempt to impose on us a terrorist state in the heart of our land will be given after my return from the United States. I have a clear message to those leaders who recognize a Palestinian state after the horrific massacre of October 7th. You are granting a huge prize to terror. And I have another message for you. It will not happen. There will be no Palestinian state west of the Jordan River. For years, I've prevented the establishment of this terrorist state in the face of enormous pressure, both domestic and international. We did this with determination, and we did this with diplomatic wisdom. Moreover, we doubled Jewish settlement in Judea and Samaria, and we will continue in this path. The response to the latest attempt to impose on us a terrorist state in the heart of our land will be given after my return from the United States." Sources close to the Prime Minister said yesterday that Israel is considering some retaliatory actions against those nations who recognized a Palestinian state, including declaring partial sovereignty in Judea and Samaria. Now, while many members of Netanyahu's cabinet are pushing for comprehensive sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, Bibi, while saying the need to respond to these declarations with something big, is still trying to play his cards correctly. He hinted that he will discuss sovereignty in his meetings with President Trump later this week. Declaring sovereignty in Judea and Samaria would be a huge win for Israel and a huge blow and loss for Hamas and the Palestinian Authority. Also, the Prime Minister of Israel just said what no leader of Israel has ever had the courage to say. He said there will be no Palestinian state west of the Jordan River and that Israel will continue to double settlements in Judea and Samaria. Now, I don't think there is any coincidence to all of this happening right now, the eve of the Jewish New Year, the biblical festival of Rosh HaShanah, also known as the Feast of Trumpets. As the nation of Israel listens to the blowing of the shofar, calling the nation of Israel to repentance and spiritual awakening that God is their king, the nations of the world sit down to conspire against God's land and people. Like Psalm 2, verse 2 says, "The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us burst their bonds apart and cast away their cords from us." Also, Zechariah says that in the end of days, all nations will gather together to fight against Jerusalem. Guys, we are living in truly prophetic times. As restoration and redemption are taking place in Israel right now, the nations of the world are aligning themselves against the Lord and against his people right now at the start of Rosh HaShanah. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget, we have an epic documentary about the real location of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem dropping on October 5th. Sign up to watch the film when it comes out at theisraelguys.com/temple or click that link down in the description below. Thanks for watching.